Taoism and how you can use it to hack your brain. The internet offers us a variety of ways to pump, hack your brain in an unusual way to make it work at full capacity. Basically, these practices are taken from the biographies of famous scientists, writers, musicians, and inventors who turned the world upside down with their discoveries. The main thing that a person needs to do in order to think differently is to move into unusual circumstances for himself, which will make him think differently. Based on the results of scientific research, we are trying to figure out which of the proposed methods can really be applied in life, and which is better not to mess with at all. What is Taoism? If a person intends to do the best thing in the world, nothing beats learning. If he wants to be the best among students, nothing compares to learning the way. Master Zeus said, "Study is the search for the way. Otherwise, what is the point of studying at all?" Even professional growth is something external. What a pity that he corrupts so many people. The Tao Te Ching says to be an emperor, or to hold a high position, or to possess a lot of jewels, or to be able to manage a herd of horses, but all this is not so important compared to the calm progress along the path. So let's start with the Tao. Tao is indeed a kind of analog of the concept of God, but it is not personified and is highly abstract. Tao is so absolute that it includes everything that exists, manifested, being, and what is not manifested, non-being. That is, Tao at the most primordial level represents the potential, the possibility of the emergence of anything. Everything that surrounds us, that which we daily perceive with our ordinary senses, is a post-heavenly manifestation of Tao. It is called post-heavenly because a person sees it after his birth, after he sees the sky. There is also a pre-heavenly manifestation of Tao. This is what is originally and extends into non-being. The goal of a practicing Taoist is to return to the source, to move away from the post-heavenly manifestations of Tao in order to cognize its primordial essence, pre-heavenly, and go further, beyond the limits of existence and non-being to the source. The source is the original nature of man, which is the same for all things, and since the source is the original essence of everything, having cognized it, a person automatically cognizes all its manifestations. An analogy can be drawn. If Tao is the sun, then sunlight is the pre-heavenly nature of Tao, and the light reflected from the moon is the entire ordinary world we perceive, the post-heaven manifestation of Tao. The practitioner tries first, through meditation, to penetrate to his pre-heavenly nature, to penetrate beyond the light reflected from the moon, post-heavenly nature, and look at the sunlight directly. And then, having learned to perceive the pre-heavenly, he tries to cognize the sun, Tao itself. So a person comprehends the source, that which lies beyond the limits of existence and non-being. If successful, the practitioner gets rid of the duality of this world and becomes whole with the Tao at the deepest level of its existence. Tao represents, for the practicing Taoist, both the goal and the way to achieve it. The Tao way, or the path of Tao, are the methods of self-cultivation that the Taoist uses to get closer to comprehending the Tao, as well as all the surrounding events that make up the very life of the practitioner, turning it into the path to the source. Taoist practices are a unique set of exercises that are combined with the philosophy and principles of conscious thinking and can radically change a person's life. It is an ancient philosophy that helps to find harmony between body and spirit. What are Taoist practices really, and do they really help to make life better? We decided to look into this issue, starting with the basics. To begin with, let's try to understand what is invested in the concept of Taoism. So Taoism is an ancient Chinese teaching that arose in the 2nd century, but the foundation of which are laid down before our era. In this teaching, elements of religion and philosophy are intertwined. The concept is based on the idea of Tao, the great path to which the entire universe obeys. In simple terms, according to the philosophy of Taoism, every person can achieve happiness if he takes the path of Tao, and in order to achieve this, certain practices are needed. Meditation, breathing exercises, gymnastics, which help to immerse yourself in your inner world and find harmony. Elements of Taoist practices. In a generalized form, Taoist practices consist of several key elements. Physical exercise. Since there is no clear distinction between the body and the spirit in Taoism, an important part of the practice is the maintenance of physical health. According to the philosophy of Taoism, any physical actions affect your consciousness. Therefore, a key element of the practice is exercises, and very different ones, aimed at relaxing, stretching muscles, strengthening joints, and even improving certain organs. This also includes martial arts, which are needed not for self-defense, and even more so not for attack, but for the development of discipline and training of the spirit. Cleanliness. Taoist texts teach the importance of maintaining a clean body for spiritual health. However, it is not only about personal hygiene. To maintain purity, a person should not eat junk food, harm others, and should avoid negative thoughts and emotions, greed, lust, pride, irritation, and others. Meditation. We have already talked more than once about the amazing conclusions that modern researchers have come to by studying the positive impact of meditation on human consciousness. However, long before the appearance of the first research works in this area, Taoist masters came to the conclusion that meditation practices are the basis of mental health. Meditation is an essential element of Taoist practice, and its purpose is to help calm the mind, focus on one's feelings, and create space for self-discovery. Breathing exercises. Breathing exercises go hand in hand with meditation. They help to calm the mind and find harmony. In addition, they help restore the movement of ki energy in the body, heal the body, and get rid of stress. Energy flow management. By the way, about ki energy, Taoist practices also focus on enhancing and regulating the flow of vital energy through various forms of exercise, meditation, and techniques such as acupuncture and Qiao therapy. Dieting. Dieting helps to keep the body clean, so the teachings of Taoism advise to refrain from eating meat, alcohol, and junk. Types of Taoist practices. Taoist practices are a whole complex of more than a dozen exercises and techniques aimed at developing the body and spirit of a person. It is not possible to master them without a mentor, but not at all because of the complexity. In fact, most of the exercises are easy enough to repeat, but as already mentioned, Taoism does not distinguish between bodily and spiritual, so mastering the movements is not enough. It is important to understand their meaning on a mental level. Qigong. Qigong is a practice of working with qi, that is, the internal energy of a person for the purpose of healing and purification. It is from this basic complex that the development of Taoist practices begins. There are so many options for Qigong exercises that it is unlikely that you will be able to master them all. So an experienced mentor will help you choose the exercises that are right for you. These can be soft Qigong exercises with smooth, light movements, hard Qigong exercises that allow you to strengthen the body through sharper movements. There's also a distinction between medical Qigong, aimed at healing certain internal organs, and spontaneous Qigong, aimed at understanding one's own body. Nidan, the art of inner alchemy. Without mastering the three basic complexes, it is pointless to move on and try to study more complex practices. However, if you have managed to learn how to control your qi energy, prepared the body, and achieved enlightenment, you can move on to the very essence of Taoist practices, namely Nidan, the art of internal alchemy. This is an advanced level of meditation, breathing practices, exploring your own inner world, and going beyond it. Taoist masters believe that only by mastering Nidan can one gain enlightenment and radically change one's life. However, this requires years of training and the creation of a solid base in the form of mastering previous practices. Women's Taoist practices. A separate and one of the most popular types is women's Taoist practices. Some mistakenly believe that they are aimed at the development of sexuality, but this is not entirely true. With their help, you can really learn to get sexual pleasure, but first of all, they are aimed at awakening femininity, studying your own body, relaxing, and preventing diseases. Women's practices also consist of breathing techniques and exercises that train the internal muscles. In order to try out some of them, it is not necessary to study basic Taoist practices. Other types. Taoist practices are so multifaceted that it is not possible to list them all. It is worth noting that they affect almost all spheres of life. So there are techniques that allow you to control sleep, sets of exercises that are aimed at establishing contact with the world of flora and fauna, practices for treatment, food refusal practices, practices that allow you to develop endurance and protect from the cold, and even practices that prepare the soul for death in order to lay the foundation for its further improvement in a new life.